At the beginning of the story, we are shown a family. They are happily living their lives, but they had no idea that in just a few minutes something so terrifying was about to happen to them that even thinking about it is frightening. While the husband and wife were engrossed in their conversation, they suddenly started hearing people screaming and shouting outside. When both of them stepped outside, they saw chaos among the people. Everyone was leaving their homes and running away as if something big was about to happen. Jason and his wife saw that their neighbors were panicking and hurriedly vacating their house. Jason asked the neighbor what the reason was, why they were leaving their house. But they were in such a hurry that they didn't answer Jason's question. At the same time, they saw that the neighbor's son was also packing his belongings. When Jason asked the boy where they were going, the boy replied that his father had a friend who was a government officer. He said that a very deadly virus has spread, which turns a normal person into a monster. But just then, the boy's mother arrived, grabbed him, and took him away from there. Jason asked her what virus the boy was talking about. To this, the boy's mother said that this is not the time to explain. Take your wife and daughter and get as far away from this city as possible. Hearing this, Jason and Beth became extremely frightened. After that, without thinking twice, Jason puts his family in the car and starts driving them out of the city. But on the way, they saw that the neighbors who were fleeing were now returning. Seeing this made them feel even more uneasy. A little further ahead, they get stuck in traffic. When Jason and his family got out of the car, they saw that the only road leading out of the city had been blocked by the police. Helicopters began to patrol the sky here and there. People were informed that a deadly virus had spread in the city and that they should quickly return to their homes. Hearing this, Jason found it strange that if a virus had spread in the city, then instead of evacuating people, why were they being told to stay inside the city? Suddenly, a large rock from the nearby mountain fell onto their car. Seeing this, they became extremely frightened. The mountain began to shake, and just then, 2 military fighter jets emerged from behind the mountain and headed toward the city. Those 2 fighter jets began to rain bombs all over the city. The entire city was reduced to ashes. Jason's wife Beth immediately realized that if they had listened to the police and returned home, their fate would have been much worse. After that, the fighter jets started moving toward the people on the road. Seeing this, panic spread among all the people. Now everyone understood that the government wanted to kill them. Everyone started running here and there to save their lives. But Jason and Beth realized that no matter where they ran, those fighter jets would not stop until they killed them. Just then, they looked back and saw a school on the hill and thought that place might be better for survival. After that, Jason, along with Beth and Joey, started climbing the hill towards the school. Meanwhile, the people still on the bridge. The jets bombed. The 3 of them ran quickly and reached the school, and luckily, they found a tunnel there. Just seconds before the bomb exploded, they hurried inside the tunnel. As soon as the bunker door closed, there was a loud explosion above. But fortunately, they were under the bunker, and their lives were saved. What surprised them was what kind of virus could be so dangerous that the government had to kill everyone in the city. They couldn't understand anything, but they did realize that if they wanted to survive, they would have to quietly live out their lives in the bunker. But the troubling thing for them was how long they would have to live there and what they would do for food and drink to fill their stomachs. The good thing was that there was a huge stockpile of expired food there, which could last 3 people for quite a long time. Jason's wife Beth was extremely worried. She started worrying about her daughter Zoe. What would they do if she fell ill? And when they were closing the door, her hand had gotten caught, causing a deep injury. Both of them were also anxious that the poisonous virus might have attacked their bodies as well. But this was not the time to think about that. Now they had to make the bunker secure so that no one could open the bunker door from above. Jason firmly locked the bunker door with an iron chain and decided that they would now have to live their lives hiding here. But life underground was not easy. Every day was the same. For food and drink, there was only muddy water, and in their free time, they played cards. They were completely cut off from the outside world. After staying here for many days, they had become extremely frustrated with the bunker. But what could they do? If they went above, they wouldn't survive. This life made Jason's family feel as if it was the end of the world. Joey asked her dad, "Dad, how long will we stay here?" Jason had no answer to this question. He simply told his daughter, "We'll go outside only when the virus is gone." He covers his daughter's eyes with his fingers and makes her imagine the outside world. Days passed like this, and then months, and they didn't even realize that while waiting to go outside, they had spent over 300 days in this bunker. Joey looks at the outside world through the periscope her mother made. All around, there was nothing but scenes of devastation. It was as if the whole world had burned to ashes. There was no sign of any human being there. Seeing all this, the little girl started to feel that maybe they were the last people left in the world. Her mother reassured her, telling her not to think like that. She said maybe your friends are also hiding somewhere, just like us. It was now night, and it was time for dinner. They had very little food left now. That's why the 3 of them were making do by eating just a little food. But today, because of Joe's insistence, she was given a whole can. When Joe opened the tin can, she saw that it was empty inside. There was a small hole on the back of the can. Perhaps something had stolen the food from it. When Beth checked all the remaining cans, she found that a total of 12 cans were empty. Seeing this, they became very worried because that was their ration for 2 weeks. Beth looked towards the ventilation grate and guessed that maybe a rat had come in and taken the food. Beth said that if it's a rat, we'll have to kill it soon, otherwise it will ruin all our food. Seeing Beth's sad face, Jason comforted her, telling her not to worry about small things. He said, "Even if the food runs out, I'll go up and bring back some supplies." The next day, while Joe was playing with blocks with her mother, a faint sound came from behind. When Joe turned around, she saw that a rat had sneaked in again to steal some food. Before the rat could escape, Joe immediately called her parents. Today, they had to kill this rat at any cost. Jason, furious, grabbed a knife and moved forward to cut it into pieces. But that little rat turned out to be very fast. Dodging Jason's attack, it managed to escape and even knocked over the red tin kept on the table. Just as it was about to enter its hole, Beth suddenly lunged and killed the rat. They were all celebrating having killed the rat. Meanwhile, the red tin falling over slowly started to spread the fire. Jason ran to turn off the lantern, but the lantern was extremely hot. As a result, Jason burned his hand, and when the glass of the red tin shattered, the whole table caught fire. Beth tore down the curtain and tried to put out the fire. Jason filled half a bucket of water from the tap and poured it on the fire. Somehow the two of them managed to put out the fire, but the danger was not over yet. Now things were about to get even more difficult for them because although they had put out the fire, the smoke from the fire had filled the entire bunker, and that smoke was slowly escaping upwards through the ventilation grill. Seeing this, they all panicked because the smoke was revealing their location. Now everyone was sitting there holding their breath. Jason said that maybe the darkness of the night would hide the smoke and no one would find out about their location. The three of them stayed awake the whole night, gripped by fear. The next morning, just to reassure themselves, they peeked outside using the periscope, and what they saw made their blood run cold. They saw that outside, there was a thick cloud of smoke everywhere. Seeing this, their anxiety began to grow. They were now completely convinced that their hideout had been discovered. Just then, Beat said that if there was smoke, there must also be ash collected nearby, and if someone investigates the ash, they could find out about our location. So now, we have to clean up the ash. After that, the husband and wife decided to go outside and clean up. Before leaving, Jason told his daughter Jo, "Joe, promise me that no matter what happens outside or whatever noise you hear, you must not come out." After making his daughter promise, he unchained the door, listened carefully to the sounds outside, and when he was sure that no one was out there, then both of them opened the bunker door together and went outside. Now their daughter was left alone inside. She was waiting for her parents. But even after waiting for a long time, when her parents did not return, she climbed onto a stool and started looking at the situation outside through the binoculars. Soon she saw her parents trying to hide the bunker door. But just then, Jo saw something that made her breath catch in her throat. She saw that a dark shadow was rapidly approaching them from the distant forest. The girl shouted loudly, telling her father to look behind, but the distance was too great. Her parents couldn't hear her at all. In her panic, the girl forgot her fear and climbed the ladder coming out of the bunker. As soon as she came out, she realized that her parents were no longer there. Anxiously, the girl began calling out loudly for her parents, when suddenly someone grabbed her mouth from behind. It was none other than her mother. A few seconds later, a herd of wild deer rushed past that spot. Although all three of them narrowly escaped, their fear of the forest only grew stronger. The way those deer were running, it was surely an attempt to escape from something dangerous. Everyone sensed the danger and quickly ran back toward the bunker and rushed inside. Jason shut the bunker door with wooden planks and secured it tightly with an iron chain, telling everyone to stay completely silent. Just then, they heard the faint sound of footsteps above. It felt as if someone was approaching the bunker door. For several minutes, it kept wandering back and forth above the bunker. The three of them slowly moved away from the bunker door and headed further inside, and perhaps whoever was above still hadn't realized that there was someone in the bunker below. Out of fear, she began to cry. Beat hushes her and says that if the sound reaches outside, everything will be over. The three of them had slowly moved quite far from the bunker door. They were moving away from the bunker door so that even if someone above opened the bunker door, they wouldn't be seen from below. But just then, the doll that Joey was holding got its string caught on a screw. That screw started to loosen slowly. Seeing this, Jason and Beth held their breath because the string was connected to the sound switch inside the doll. Before they could do anything, the screw popped out with a jerk, and at that very moment, the doll started making loud noises. Jason immediately tore open the doll and broke the speaker inside it. But by then, it was already too late. Whatever was chasing them upstairs had already caught on to their presence. Suddenly, there was a loud thud from above, and then the sound of heavy footsteps stopped right above the bunker door. It had finally found their hiding place and began trying to open it. It was forcefully pushing the bunker lid, and even though it was secured with chains, the danger was palpable, and the monster above now knew for sure that someone was down below, even though the door was secured with strong chains. But in the face of that creature's terrifying strength, the chains began to snap one by one. Seeing this, Jason realized that the door wouldn't hold much longer, so he quickly ran inside and started pulling out the water pump pipe. Here, Beth also showed courage and, climbing onto the stairs, tried to keep the door shut by pulling the chain and using her body weight. But even then, the iron lid slowly began to open. Just then, a dark shadow appeared above the door, its eyes glowing like light bulbs. It was as if death itself was watching the three of them from above. Without thinking, Jason attacked it with a pipe, causing it to fall back. Jason quickly wedged the pipe into the door and shut the door tight, and that thing ran away from there. But Jason's body was still was trembling. He could never have imagined that not only ruthless soldiers but also dangerous monsters roamed the outside world. The whole family sat down by the stairs in despair because now their hiding place had been exposed. Now they could be attacked at any moment, and they already realized that this time only one had come, but the next time there would be many more, and they wouldn't be able to do anything against them. After a while, the wardrobe suddenly started shaking. Jason and the others understood that it had called its companions as well. From above, the sound of hurried footsteps could be heard, as if thousands of creatures were running over their heads. Then, all of them gathered at the bunker door. Jason, Beth, and Joey were trembling below out of fear, but suddenly they launched a fierce attack. This time, their strength was far greater than before. The sturdy iron door broke and fell down, and countless eyes began to gleam at the entrance of the bunker, causing them to run backward in terror. But those monsters kept following them. Beth threw her oil lamp and set the curtain between them on fire, and together they blocked the path with a wardrobe. They all rushed deeper into the bunker, knowing that these obstacles wouldn't hold them back for long. They had no way to escape. Just then, the little girl spotted a ventilation opening leading to the ground. Jason broke it open with force and using all his strength pushed his wife and daughter outside, but when he tried to get out himself, he got stuck because of the narrow space. Meanwhile, the monsters were advancing toward him from the other side. Now somehow Jason had to get out of there. He couldn't see any other way, so he broke his own shoulder bone, causing him to scream in pain, and quickly pulled himself together to crawl into the ventilation shaft. Without wasting any time, they began pulling Jason out with all their strength. Just as Jason was about to be pulled out, a giant creature appeared and grabbed his leg. Jason realized that now it was impossible for him to survive. There was no hope left of escaping now. Looking into his wife's eyes, Jason said that no matter what happens, nothing should happen to Joe. And in the very next moment, the monster drags him back into the bunker. But instead of being afraid of the monster in the bunker, Jason says to them, "Come on, let's see how strong you really are." When Beth and Joe looked down, they heard loud screams coming from the bunker. Beth realized that her husband was fighting to buy them time to escape. Even in pain, she took her daughter and got out of there and managed to get quite far while avoiding the monster. But as they kept running, they started to feel that something was off. They saw that the highway which led to the outside world was now blocked by a tall wall. Now no one could get out of the city. Just then, a helicopter came flying from a distance. When Beth looked back, she saw that it was an army helicopter. The helicopter quickly approached them and shone its bright light on them. Just as the two were about to run away, a large net dropped down from above, trapping them both. Both of them tried every possible way to free themselves from the net, but the net had trapped them both tightly. Through the mesh of the net, Beth saw some dark figures with green eyes approaching them. It was then that we learned the real secret of the story. Those people holding guns, the ones with yellow eyes whom we thought were monsters. They weren't actually aliens or people infected by a virus, they were soldiers wearing gas masks and night vision goggles. Those very eyes whose yellow glow made them look like beings from another world. But the question arises, why had the army become mortal enemies of these people? All these secrets will be revealed to you in the little bit of story that remains ahead. Now both Beth and Joe were under the control of these soldiers. One of the soldiers took out a large syringe and injected it into both of their necks, one after the other. When their blood was tested, it was found that both of them were also infected with the deadly virus, which means that both of them are now a threat to this world. That is, they will now be killed. In fact, when the virus first spread, many people in this small town had already fallen victim to it. This virus was airborne and could spread from one person to another very quickly. The infected people themselves didn't even know they were sick, and the government had no antidote to stop this virus. Apart from killing the infected people, the government had no other option. Beth sat there crying, pleading, "Please let my daughter go." When Beth saw that the soldiers weren't going to spare her little daughter either, she became completely enraged. Dark marks began to appear on her face, but before she could do anything, blood spurted from the soldier's neck. It was none other than Jason, who had returned from the brink of death. In fact, Jason hadn't died in the bunker. Instead, he lost control of himself there and killed all the soldiers. At that moment, he was extremely angry. Dark marks appeared on his face, his eyes were red with rage, and his physical strength had increased many times over. And it was clear that he was no longer the same Jason, but he appeared in a completely different form. He started attacking the soldiers, killing them one after another, but he couldn't withstand the bullets from the hot weapons and fell to the ground. When the soldiers advanced towards Joey, both of them had already broken free from the trap and escaped. The soldiers started searching for them everywhere, but they had no idea that she had transformed into a monstrous form. She hid Joey inside a car and began fighting the soldiers herself. She killed several soldiers, but then, after being shot, she collapsed onto the roof of the car. Hiding in the darkness, her daughter saw everything. Seeing the condition of her parents, she too lost her temper and anger. With a single leap, she knocked down a soldier, broke his mask, and was about to kill him when Wei stopped her just in time. She didn't want her daughter to become a monster too. Beth calmed her down. Gradually, the green veins in the girl's body disappeared and she turned back into a human. But the soldier wasn't so lucky. His safety mask was broken and he slowly became infected by the virus. On the other hand, Jason's condition was very serious. Looking at his daughter's face, he ran 2 fingers of his hand over her eyes and Jason closed his eyes forever. At that moment, another helicopter arrived. They ran away with their daughter. Passing through a pile of junk, they entered a tunnel. Just then, a light shone into their eyes to see. But it turned out that it was the same little boy from the neighborhood whom we saw at the beginning of the story. Then the two of them started following him. The boy led them into a cave-like tunnel where his parents and many other people were hiding. In fact, there were people infected by the virus just like them. To stay alive, all of them were forced to live like rats in the darkness. This virus was certainly dangerous, but it wasn't deadly. The virus would affect an infected person more when they got scared or couldn't control their anger. But in reality, those people had learned to control themselves. They thought the city soldiers were monsters, but in reality, they themselves were the monsters. And with that, this story comes to an end. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like the video.